This June, as in every year since 2006, the Victoria Riflemen of the British Militaria Forum and invited guests gather under Alberta skies to renew their fellowship and test their skills with their Victorian arms. The shoot is a way to experience, maintain, and even rediscover the military arms used primarily during the reign of Queen Victoria. It is part shooting, part discussion, and part learning, but mostly about the fellowship of these like-minded enthusiasts. The opening of every shoot is marked by the firing of 3 memorial volleys to remember those who have come before us.
Load! Shift right a bit. I don't eat your pan. Yeah, there we go. Breathe in! Fire, Douglas. Breathe in! Breathe in!
The structure is informal, yet somewhat organized, with open shooting, friendly matches, and sometimes themed shoots. Every year, a theme is chosen, tied to a specific Victorian campaign. This year, it was the Second Afghan War. People travel from all over the world to come to this little piece of Victorian shooting heaven. This year, there were participants from Canada, the United States, and even one from New Zealand. Our intrepid globetrotter, Morris, jumped straight into things.
So Morris, so you're shooting a Nepalese fusel, is that right?
A Nepalese fusel, I believe, yes.
Yeah.
It's new to me. Don't know me, little baby. Sorry. I acquired it from Richard.
Okay.
And it's I said great note, but the bore's not that bad.
Yeah.
It is a smoothbore piece. He thought it was a bronze reef, it's not. What to say? This is the latest model, as this. It's the old expansion. I wasn't doing it properly, so they went with this system. If you believe that, you believe anything.
And you're dressed today as what?
I'm said, well, it's the Afghan war. You got some Afghan.
This guy. Oh, easy now.
I don't think that's a Turkish, another one here. They've just used up. That's a tatty old bag in the sash. And this is one of them jackets with the Victorian muzzle orders that Charlie gave me.
Okay.
But it makes no spuggery. So you've got to improvise.
Of course.
My tomorrow tie will be quite we're doing that. Just doing that.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you in your middle of your loading. I just had to get a good shot of that.
Yes, this is actually my best side.
The venue for this year's shoot, as with every year, is the farm of Richard and Linda. They graciously opened their homes and their land so that the Victorian riflemen can gather and conduct their activities. The rain shack on their property is the focal point for the shoot. The targets for this year's shoot were typical of years past, with a few minor additions. The volley targets at 25 yards, the Kashmir Gate target at 50 yards, next to which was the Afghan Horde for the Sherpur Cantonment shoot at 50 yards, and the International Percussion Smoothbore match set set at 15 meters. The Victorian Rifleman provincial match targets are set at 100 yards, and the Snider challenge targets at 150. There's also an old resident bailer that forms the core of a nice group of long-range gongs, and a series of gongs set at 200 yards.
Oh boy, I'm probably standing in front of the damn camera. If it's recording.
That thing kicks like a mule.
Bong!
Are they all seal?
Hey, little one.
Oh, missed that one. Yeah.
Wow, we found that. We're burning unnecessary. Once you see a big problem, yeah, you should do.
You hear it?
Is that a good sandwich, Brett? Huh?
Conform to the military act. They can do whatever, because this is a food bag. This is a food bag. If it was
You make that or you buy that?
commercial.
It's just a pile of do like I like the work you do. You do great.
No, it's a bird defect. They did the supplementary agreement.
So what have you got there?
Well, we got a second model land pattern musket.
Yeah.
Designed after one that was in 7062.
It's a reproduction?
Yes, it is.
And made by?
Pedisoli.
Okay. And you're shooting what out of it?
I'm shooting a paper cartridge, I hand rolled, with 130 grains of 2F powder and a 71 caliber ball.
Nice. And it's lubricated, you said?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. All right, well, ring that gong. I think that was lucky. Yay!
The Victorian Rifleman provincial match is a simple affair. Best 10 out of 13 rounds at a B-17 target, fired from any position. Categories exist for nearly every Victorian military arm.
They had to go using patent, so.
brought in on as a technical advisor. So they designed the aircraft.
Look at that cloud there. Look. Yeah, but look at that cloud there.
Yeah.
Just throw a couple of that 50 and just.
It's cool. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, but 1 o'clock, just the first beginning of black. The last thing was at the top end of it first off. Yes, we're looking the holes, yes.
Nicely done.
Almost a .1 too, right?
I'd just like to note that that score of 82 is thanks to the X-Ring Services bullet.
But this should read Robinson. You don't need to know.
Well done.
Nobody gets 100 ever.
Nice work.
What?
They would land in the States no matter what. If they have
Okay, you can smile now, Douglas. What I want to know is, who's shooting this?
That is a psychological device for disrupting someone's boat path.
Did it work for you, Douglas?
No.
Might also mess up the camera.
Racist camera does.
Yeah, if you stay in Canada and you get your pal and you're interested in the enfields, I know help you. I know somebody before and he's a great guy. From what I've seen, she's fairly told and then the bolt that holds the stock on, because it's the stock, it's 2 pieces. And there's a socket there. You try to take the stock, butt stock.
And the key to it is to order it on the website.
And
call him.
She was just coming off the range. And we started talking. She saw me on the phone. I was like, yeah, I've inherited some.
That might be working for you. You might be onto something there. Your foot.
I was thinking about maybe turning it. I'm like, no. I mean, look at it. I'm hearing
The Sherpur Cantonment Shoot. As the theme of this year's shoot was the Second Afghan War, we thought we'd come up with a themed shoot to mark the occasion. This war saw some notable fighting in and around Kabul. It also featured an epic forced march led by Lord Roberts from Kabul to Kandahar, where, in that location, the Afghan army was finally defeated. It also goes without mention the disaster at Maiwand, where the 66th Foot was completely destroyed. For the theme shoot, it was decided that we would focus on the fighting around Kabul, specifically the siege of the Sherpur Cantonment. This was a large military area, walled and defended just to the northeast of Kabul proper. On arrival in the area, British forces seized control of the cantonment. This led to a siege of some degree, and, figuring prominently, were a number of vicious and relentless attacks. The defenses around the cantonment were a series of high walls, and, notably in the northeast corner, where the wall was non-existent, a series of abatis and field fortifications, earthworks, and entrenchments to seal the gap. The Afghan attacks were fierce and relentless, but ultimately unsuccessful. So, in order to lend some degree of atmosphere, we constructed a wall and faced it with some material that was on the farm. 6 firing ports were made in the battlements across the top, and the targets were laid out in front of the wall at 50 yards. These were placed in 2 groups, 10 in each, in order to lend some sort of spirit of competition. The 3 on the left of the wall shot at the left group, and the 3 on the right shot on the right. The idea simply being that whoever shot all the targets down on their own side first would come out the victor. Once this had been determined, then the entire group would shoot at a mural target containing some 12 figures.
The left section at the left target. The right section at the right target. Independent firing. Commence! We'll fire 3 volleys. Present. Fire. Ready. Present. Fire. Ready. Present. Fire. Good hit there. Oh, near miss. Near miss. Who shot the nail? Huh? Who did that? Uh-oh. The poor guy got shot, huh?
Pretty bad.
Shot in the back. and so somebody gets to claim that one right there.
I will.
Why am I not surprised, Douglas? Why am I not surprised? So how many hits there? 1? 3.5, because he's hit right in the walk. At 50 yards, at the enemy to your front, independent firing, commence!
I think it's the operators.
How we doing? Okay, cease firing. We'll fire 3 volleys. At 100 yards, ready. At the group of enemy in the rocks. Present. Fire. Ready. Present. Fire. Present. Fire.
I know.
That's an unlucky target. I couldn't hit that one either.
Yeah, it's really laughable.
The International Percussion Smoothbore match was a match that came about as a result of a discussion on the forum a couple of years ago. Any Victorian smoothbore percussion musket is usable.
Gonna shoot. Put a new nipple on to shoot it. Yeah. If I can get this one off.
You slipping too?
Yeah. Oh.
Sure. It's not good news, is it?
Now you gotta drill. Yeah, I had to get a screw out with that. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Well, forest rangers make excellent spotters, I hear.
Oh, well, they got good eyes.
Let's see. Find another one in the same spot, then we'll go to see.
Have you changed your loading style at all, Martin?
I didn't take a look at the board.
I have, and I left
anything on paper.
most of it at home. So yeah. Jeff Tanner.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I remember you mentioning that. Yeah.
That was a 4 at about 4 o'clock.
Is this distracting?
What's this?
No, we're just
I bought it at
guilty of that, so.
Okay, how about there?
No, that's good.
How about there? Is that better?
It's not somebody's table.
Oh, yeah, that was the 7th.
The Colin Clark Memorial Snider Challenge match has been a long-standing activity at the Alberta shoot. It features the score resulting from the best 5 of 8 shots made at 150 yards using the historical target from the 1860s and 70s.
The marquee match of the weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, and then, you don't have to shine it.
No.
But, no, the line misses. It does work very well.
What is going on?
As you can see, although the target itself is rather large, the bull, being 8 inches at 150 yards, is not exactly easy to hit. This year, Martin won the Snider Challenge with a score of 15 points. It looks like the trophy's headed south of the border for the first time in a very long time. If Richard will ever let go of it.
So far, so good, huh?
Well,
Except for that one,
66% so far.
which will only increase as the more rounds you fire, right?
I didn't even look. I looked like after my first shot, and then I just shot.
That's confidence, your ammunition right there. And that's the original P53, right, Martin?
Yep. Type 2, is that what it is?
It's got the spring bands, right? So what have you got there, Henry?
The rifle or the ammunition? Rifle's Mark III Ross,
right?
1916. Marked not to a battalion, but to the Canadian Mounted Rifles.
Okay.
Not to a particular regiment or a battalion of them, but come on.
And what's on your shoulder there? What's that marked to?
It's marked to the 43rd Battalion.
Okay. Of the Canadian Expeditionary
Cameron
Force.
Highlanders.
Yeah.
My grandfather served in the regiment, so it's something I'm very proud of. And so I thought if I'm going to do this up, I would do it.
And what years was he? Did he serve in the unit?
He was young. He signed up as a 17-year-old, and so joined the battalion in 1917, and then stayed through till the end of the conflict. Wound up in the history shows them winding up in Mons on November 11th in time for the armistice.
Wow, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty heady stuff.
Yeah, for a 17-year-old, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Came home though, so unlike so many.
Yep.
So that was a
Lucky
good
that
thing.
way.
Yeah.
For sure. So you're looking at a little early war with your Ross then?
Yeah, well, exactly. And no patties, and so it's a bit of a hybrid perhaps, but
it's all good.
It's all good.
Now you're going to put your Ross through your paces.
I am indeed.
Nice. Well, I'll let you get at it.
Thank you.
'Cause this was my first round with the Ross.
It's all good.
Three years ago, when the theme for the shoot was India, we came up with the idea of shooting a target that would replicate the Kashmir Gate, an action fought during the Siege of Delhi in 1857. Background to this particular shoot can be found on the previous 2 years' videos.
Do we need ammo, Walla? Oh, woo! There's 3 more. Do we have enough bullets?
I can run back 2 more.
2 more. Hurry! Hurry!
There's always some degree of uncertainty when it comes time to blow the gate.
1 volley at the wicket. Present.
This year, the trigger mechanism worked flawlessly.
Present.
Okay, here we go.
We're safe.
And remember, if shooting the Snider or Martini is in your future, then drop Martin at X-Ring Services a line, and he'll sort you out with brass, molds, and advice. If you'd like to support the channel, please stop by our Patreon page. The link is in the description below.
Good shooting, Richard. Good, you too, good. See you later. Next time. Take care now. Take care.